how do you really get to know a place? I mean, beyond the map and the tourist brochures. Today, we're going to try and do just that with the English town of Shrewsbury. It's a place with two very different stories to tell. One about a really violent past, and another about its vibrant present. So let's start where every good story does, right at the beginning, with its name.
So let's rewind the clock way back to the 7th century. Long before anyone was calling it Shrewsbury, the Saxons had a name for it, Shrewsbury Burg. And honestly, that name tells you everything. Bur meant a fortified place, a stronghold. And scrob, that meant scrubland. So this wasn't built as a cozy little village. From day one, it was a fortress. It was built for defense.
Over time, Shrewsbury, as you can imagine, got a bit of a makeover and became Shrewsbury. But, and this is the fun part, how you say it, that's a whole other story. Is it Shrewsbury, like a show, or is it Shrewsbury, like a shrew? Even the locals can't agree. And as we're about to see, this little split in its name is actually the perfect metaphor for the town's complicated, sometimes conflicting, identity. Okay, so why all the focus on defense? Why was it built as a fortress in the first place? Well, the answer is all about location, location, location. The town sits almost entirely inside this incredibly tight loop of the River Severn. The river basically acts like a natural moat, creating this almost island that was, you guessed it, super easy to defend. So when the Normans showed up in the 11th century, they took one look at this amazing geography and just doubled down on the whole fortress idea. In 1074, they built this massive, imposing castle, and they put it right at the only bit of land connecting the town to the outside world. It was genius, really. If you wanted in or out, you had to go through them. And just like that, Shrewsbury's identity as a fortress was set in stone for centuries. Right, so being a fortress on the border with Wales meant one thing, and one thing only: conflict. For hundreds of years, Shrewsbury wasn't some quiet little market town. No way. It was the front line in a brutal, long-running war for control. Its entire identity was literally forged in the fires of battle. And I'm not kidding. Once that castle went up, the town's history just becomes this long list of violent events. It was a key player in the wars with Wales, which led to a famously horrible execution in 1283. It was the site of one of the bloodiest battles in English history in 1403. It even picked a side and became a royalist stronghold in the English Civil War. For centuries, violence was just a part of life here. And we're talking about a very specific, very brutal kind of violence. In 1283, when the Welsh Prince David was defeated, he wasn't just executed. Oh no, they made an example of him. He was hung, drawn, and quartered right there on the town's high cross, and his body parts were sent all over the country. It's a shocking, gruesome detail, but it shows you just how incredibly high the stakes were. The sheer scale of the violence is just mind-boggling. In 1403, you have the Battle of Shrewsbury, right on the town's doorstep, and in the space of just 3 hours, more than 6,000 soldiers were killed. Let that sink in. That is one of the highest casualty rates in English military history, all happening right there. So the big question is, how does a town that is so steeped in bloodshed, so defined by war, how does it transform? How does a battlefield become a place known for its gardens, its architecture, its culture? Well, that's the next and maybe most surprising part of Shrewsbury's story. And this, right here, is the story of Shrewsbury's great pivot. On the left, you've got the symbol of its past, the fortress, all stone and defense. And on the right, you have what it would become, the quarry, this incredible public park. You can see the shift right there. The town's whole focus changed from defense to delight, from stone walls to flower beds. But here's the thing. The past didn't just vanish. It was preserved. It was cherished. The very streets and buildings that saw all that conflict are now what make the town so special. It has over 600 listed buildings, which means they're officially protected. And these famous black and white timber-framed houses, they create a townscape that is just unbelievably beautiful. And if you need one perfect symbol for this whole transformation, it's gotta be the dingle. This gorgeous sunken garden used to be a stone quarry. I mean, it was a place of work, of industry, of just ripping stone out of the ground. But in the 19th century, they decided to turn this scar in the landscape into the town's centerpiece. Absolutely amazing. And the town's whole reputation was changing too. In 1809, it became the birthplace of Charles Darwin. Think about that. Shrewsbury was no longer just some military outpost on the border. It was now producing minds that would literally change the world. That's a huge sign that it had evolved into a real center of civic importance.
Okay, so we've seen the history, but how does all that lead to the Shrewsbury of today? What's driving it now? Forget battles and castles. The modern story is all about the economy.
So, what's the single biggest part of Shrewsbury's modern identity? It's this number, 22%. That's the percentage of jobs provided by the health sector. It is by far the town's largest employer. How's that for irony? A place once defined by ending lives is now primarily focused on saving them. And if you look at the wider picture, you can really see the town's modern role. It's the service hub for the whole county. After health, you've got retail, accommodation, and professional services. Basically, people from all over Shropshire come to Shrewsbury to shop, to eat, and to get business done.
But what's really interesting is the way people work here. Over 40% of all jobs in Shrewsbury are part-time. Now, that is way higher than the average for both the surrounding county and for Great Britain as a whole. It definitely shapes the rhythm of daily life for thousands of people. Of course, behind all the beautiful scenery and the bustling economy, there's the reality of modern life. Living in a historic town isn't always cheap. With a median house price of over £200,000 and a median household income of around $32,000, you get an affordability ratio of 6.3. To put that in perspective, that means an average household would have to spend over 6 years of their entire income just to afford an average home.
So, what do we make of all this? After looking at the violent past and the modern economy, what is Shrewsbury's true identity? Well, it seems to be a town that somehow, against all odds, has managed to hold both of its stories, its two different identities, at the exact same time.
This contrast is really the heart of the town. The fortified place? It became the county town. The site of brutal conflict? It's now the region's main employment hub. The royalist stronghold is now a huge tourist destination. See, the town didn't erase its past, it just built a whole new identity right on top of it.
And you can see and feel that everywhere you go. You'll walk down these medieval alleyways that suddenly open up into a courtyard full of modern cafes. You'll see these ancient timber-framed buildings housing brand new shops. The past isn't some dusty museum piece here, it's the living, breathing fabric of the town's present.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury? You know, maybe the fact that there are two right answers is the whole point. Maybe it perfectly captures the town's dual nature. It's a fortress and a garden. It has a history of conflict and a future of care. It's a tale of two towns, somehow, living together as one.